Good evening, good evening, good evening. Who will sell you a ticket to a Liverpool game at Anfield, but then run around the corner really quickly because it was a dodgy one in the first place? It's us, American Scouser TV. Thursday night podcast. That's the Fatinapit to the cool kids. We're joined by Sir Z and we're joined by Brian this week. How are we, gentlemen?
Wonderful.
Good. How are you?
Not too bad, but I think we can all say we're doing a tiny little bit better than Leone is, unfortunately, but we'll get to talk about that in a little bit. And here is what is on the agenda today. We'll talk about the Carabao Cup game, and we'll talk about the ticket. We won't necessarily go in this order, but we will-ish, kind of. We'll talk about the ticket scandal, a little topic about our defending, and then the game at the weekend. The first thing, though, is it was a terrible, terrible thing to see a young player make his debut, do quite well, I thought, in what I saw of it, and then to come off with a horrendous injury. But there's never a good time to get an injury, but there's always a good age to get an injury, and he's probably at the best age you could probably get to get that particular type of injury. Plenty of time to recover, but we did see the debut goal of this gentleman here, and more surprising was how it came about, and the player that I believe is man of the match, and if he wasn't, he should have been. 2-1 against Southampton with the kids and the kind of bench and the players that are to be starters, but nevertheless are still coming up to speed. And then we also had the nice late on drama of, we had our Darwin Núñez moments pretty much every week here, and it looks like we're not going to be missing out anymore on that. Hugo Ekitike with a second yellow card. He's a great striker. He's a fantastic goal scorer, but at least we can keep the idiocy quotient at the club. So Z and Brian, start with Z. What do we think of that game? It was a nice result. Probably shouldn't have been a goal to them in the sense that we probably played as well as we could with the players we had. Nevertheless, we're into the draw to the next round, and there were some very surprising performances. So Z, what was your take?
It was kind of the performance was to be expected. There was a lot of changes, 11 changes. So anyone expecting that we were going to have like full free flow football and dominate the game, I think we're a little bit deluded, despite the opposition. You can't make all them wholesale changes and expect to just click immediately. I mean, even our first team are finding it hard to click, despite what the results say. They're finding it hard to click with getting used to the players, I should say. So then you bring in Gomez, brand new goalkeeper, Endo, and so forth. And even though they individually they have experiences, it's just that experience of playing as a team is disjointed and it's not there. And I think that's just further evidence of why we need to win this League Cup as long as we can, just so these fringe players can get as much experience and more game time as possible. It was great to see Isaac get his goal, and I called for it after the Everton game, and I wanted both Isaac and Wirtz to play. I think some more minutes for Wirtz would have done him the world of good. But yeah, other than that, I mean, a couple of bad mistakes. Obviously, Leone. That's it's a horrible way to start your career, and he did really well. He came in and obviously you don't want to be like overhyping him, saying, well, we don't need Gahey. We clearly need Gahey, but his performance was definitely merited him to get a first team start, in the Champions League game or something. So yeah, I feel for the lad. It's not a great way to start. Your career or any time of the season. And then Ekitike, I think a lot's been blown out of it. I think, and it's his fault. He's just doing the freaking the most Núñez thing you can do. But still, he kicked us into the next round, and I think somewhere along the line that's been forgotten that he did get us the winning goal to put us in the next round. But yeah, onwards and upwards. It's 100% record in all comps, so take it.
I just want to say greetings to Tony. His very prominent night nurse sent him here, apparently, so that's good. And Adam Bourne, we didn't ignore the question. I haven't seen the interview, but we might have a look between now and next week, and maybe it might be a topic for next week's show. Thank you for putting us wide to that, Brian. Now I kind of give Ekitike a lot of leeway in that. I mean, he was maybe he doesn't realize how non-important the league is. Fans like, thought he was scoring the winner in the derby or something like that. But even still, it showed, number one, it showed a huge amount of immaturity. It's not a new rule. This has been a new rule for at least 20 odd years or thereabouts. It's not like players are suddenly taken aback, but what, I can't take my shirt off? And there was some on some of the radio shows, the football radio shows, were making a point. And I'm kind of in that mindset of, why do you need to take your shirt off to celebrate a goal? You scored a last-minute winner in a cup final, and with like 3 seconds left on the clock. Yeah, you could see that kind of overexcitement. But the first playing round that you're in the Carabao Cup against the championship team, keep the shirt on, shake the hands, pat the head, give the high five, do the stupid wiggly dances that some players do these days. But risking a yellow card for that, it was a bit much, wasn't it?
Oh, absolutely. It was silly. It was, the first one I came there and saw when he came there, ran over to the corner flag, and then with his shirt, it was like, you just came there and scored against the side he got relegated last year. That probably really had almost like the lowest point total that we've seen in a long time. So why are you celebrating? I mean, that was the first thing. I mean, the first mistake right there, the first yellow was dumber right there when he threw the ball away. I mean, that to me right there, that was when you got dissent right
that was the Nunes moment, wasn't it?
Absolutely. I mean, you already know you're going to get a yellow card for that. I mean, you come there, toss the ball up in the air, it's automatic right there. But my assessment of the game, I'm just going to call it the Italian job right there, because between Leone and Chiesa, they came there, both of them ran riot in that match right there. Chiesa was brilliant in that match. I mean, I don't know how anybody can really not come to rate him as the man of the match right there. But 2 setup goals right there. The first goal was all him right there for that Isak goal right there. I mean, but because he basically came through and went at the player, forced a mistake, and then basically passed the ball off on the Isak for Isak to get the shot off right there for his first goal. So, I mean, again, Chiesa definitely earned some plaudits in that. The players right there that had some kind of issue, I thought the midfield was pretty disjointed. And I agree with what Sir Z said. I probably would have played Wirtz right there to get some more minutes on him. I thought that Leone was kind of lost in a lot of ways right there until like about the middle of the second half right there. Then I could see Leone was actually making runs, but it took for a substitution for him to get more clicking right there. And that substitution been Frimpong right there, because Frimpong was rough. I mean, it was an understatement right there. I can't have said he was fair in Discord. Kazi said that there, that's an understatement right there basically for him. I thought that he never really got going in that match. I mean, never really saw any balls come there and go out, like any connections with balls. He just seemed like he was kind of just there. Unfortunately, I would have liked to see Bashatek come in there and play, but he's hurt like normal. So, I mean, I would have liked to see him there instead of Endo. But, I mean, I think overall, I mean, we're through the next round. I mean, so, I mean, it's all, I guess, it really counts. And as long as we keep on staying in the League Cup, we're going to give these French players more runs. And I think this is a competition for where Rio should be shining in this competition right there. And this is where I want him to be in, and to get his starts and to get his runs with the first team.
I'm just looking at the time. It's a time of day. Bajatic is injured. I think that's all we really need to know.
Yeah.
Now, I did hear one thing. I don't know whether it was a tongue-in-cheek joke or something like that, but apparently the Southampton manager Will Still had managed Ekitike at one point, and apparently that was like a thing where he said he'd give him his jersey, and maybe that was like kind of a confusion for Ekitike about that, which is just as funny in terms of the stupidity stakes. But so Z, back to Chiesa. I mean, we've spoken on this show on Thursdays that it's clearly not a talent issue with Chiesa. He's a very talented player. He can do a lot. He's quick over short distances, maybe not the long distance kind of speed, but he can accelerate past separation speed, as we used to call it. He's got a bit of that. Very skillful, has an eye for a pass, has an eye for a shot. So what all we're left with is speculation on some sort of personal insult on Arne Slot, because there's no reason that guy shouldn't be getting picked a lot more, is there? He does a job. He's like Shaqiri almost. Like, he does a job when he gets on the field, and sometimes you just want a little bit more for him, not from him, for him.
Yeah. Yeah, that's it'll be interesting when one of them writes a book more than like Chiesa, and I'll go straight to the Arne Slot chapter. It's you couldn't ask for a better professional, I guess, given the circumstances. We're talking about a player that only a few years ago was worth 80 million, and every European club wanted him. He was setting the Serie A alight, and I still remember his dad playing, and so obviously it's in the genetics to be a great player. For 12 million, I thought that was a steal when he did get him, and even then it's like, but he just had that, like I said, like that Shaqiri aura about him, because Slot just didn't want to play him, and it just felt like maybe he was forced upon Slot, just like Shaqiri was on Klopp, and he just didn't fancy him. But he, obviously we don't know what goes on behind the scenes, but from all accounts, like he hasn't downed his tools or anything else. He's just carried on, and he had a chance to leave in the summer, and he chose to stay. And every time he comes on, you can tell, like, there's a smile on his face. He's impacted. I think other than the Plymouth Argyle game last season, I think he's had a positive impact on every game that he's come in on, be it 5-10 minutes or whatever. He scored against Newcastle in the final, and I think if it maybe stayed on, maybe came on a little bit earlier, we could have maybe got something out of that game. But he's a danger. He's got pace. He knows what a goal is. He's experienced, and and it just feels like maybe this season's written for him. Not in the Champions League squad now. Ironically, the Italian kid that kept him out of it is probably going to take his place, and I can see Chiesa getting a Champions League winning goal, and that would just be like typical Liverpool fairy tale ending to the season.
Big up to AR as well. Good to see AR again. He was on the EPL panel show as well. And he's right. Smash those likes and subscribe buttons so you can get more information about what we do. But Brian, in terms of Chiesa, I'm kind of blindly and idly speculating here, but Jose Mourinho, when he first went to Chelsea and when he was at Porto before that, and I think when he went to Inter as well, had a certain set of sequence of drills that players had to go through and successfully get through in order to get selected for the first team. There's no indication that Arne Slot has anything that regimented, but is it possible that there's something that, some coaches, like you can imagine Pep Guardiola. Guardiola's into dribbling. He wants all of his players to be able to dribble. That was his instruction to every team he ever became manager for, is find me players who are good dribblers. That in those little rondo games, if you're not able to handle the ball when you're under pressure and get out of that pressure, you're probably not going to get a lot of playing time under Pep Guardiola. If you're always kind of dumping it away from you and not taking on the responsibility. Do you think there's maybe something along those lines, that there's something Arne Slot looks for in training and Chiesa's just not giving him? Because I'm clutching at straws here to not say there must be just something personal, and I don't want to say that Arne Slot has been an illogical coach, because Chiesa offers a lot. You can see what he offers.
I think the thing is that Slot, like most Dutch managers, is obsessed with having his own style. He's very peculiar. He has to have a certain order of doing everything. And I don't know whether Chiesa fits in that certain order, that certain piece that he wants to have right there. I mean, because if you get to look at Van Basten, you can look at all these players that are going through there, they all have the same little thing right there with them. And when they turn to the managerial roles and stuff like that, Ten Hag had the same thing right there, where this is a peculiar thing. I have to line up this particular way. This certain player has to be this certain thing. It's kind of like I think it's more of a perfectionist issue with Slot. And I just don't think that basically that Chiesa is that player. I don't think that Diaz was that player. I don't think that. I mean, there's certain people right there, and I mean Nunez. I mean, well, I can't say any more about that. I mean, but there's certain people right there. That these managers come across that they have to say that I can't come in there and put this player in here because this player does not fit the certain role that I see that position to actually fill in. And I think that's more or less. I think that. I mean, you can hear Slot say he says that Chiesa is awesome as a model person in training. He's always enthusiastic. He always goes the extra mile. It's just I don't think it's anything personal. I think it's just him and his mind of what he wants.
Now, it's interesting you say that. Good to see Justin Pakiri there. Thank you for watching us, Justin. All the way in South Africa as well. That's probably even more of a weird time zone than Sir Z is in. But it's interesting you say that because the whole Dutch total football thing wasn't organized chaos. Was organized chaos. It wasn't disorganized. Like there were certain lines. If you think of it from the 4-3-3 perspective, and originally with a sweeper, the left back, the left mid, and the left wing all interchanged. They didn't cut across. Left central defender, central mid, centre forward interchanged up and down in the lines. They didn't cross over. Same on the right side. The only player that had that leeway, of course, was Johan Cruyff because he was a once in a generation talent. Dutch football is very organized, like very regimented in that sense. Like here's the Dutch way of playing, and you've got to fit into it. Is it maybe a little bit of that? Like Slot is going to look at players the way a Dutch manager would look at players, and Chiesa is maybe just a bit too free form for him.
Absolutely. I mean, and again, right there, if you look at his runs that he did, that Chiesa did when he was at Juventus, and you look over in Italy, I mean, he in that type of a more defensive type of league right there, Chiesa was a more free role, and he was able to come there and go across all the lines right there. So if you look in there, I saw Chiesa basically line up in like 3 or 4 different positions in the front line right there, and if you're not disciplined enough to be in one position, I mean, just thinking the way Slot possibly thinks right there is the discipline right there of being in that one position. If I'm going to put you on the left side, I expect you to be on the left side and not come out there and drift over into the center or over to that point. You basically run that whole like little box thing right there that I saw with what Total Football had right there, where you basically had like a whole a box right there that you stayed within that box parameter, and that was your role. And I think that when you have players who prefer to be free, that's when you come in there. That's when that breaks down that network and that system that he wants to have. I mean, and you've seen it before right there with how, again, right there, Ronald Koeman is very much like that right there, where he has strict regiment right there that this is where you have to be. And if you don't go by that right there as rules, you're not getting played. I mean, Cody Gakpo got that right there. Basically he wasn't filling what Koeman wanted him to do. He was gone for 3 matches, I think, basically, before they called him back into the fold. So again, it's just Dutch peculiarity. I mean, with it. I mean, it's just what they do.
Justin is at 2:18 working the night shift, and you think that's bad, Justin? Suzy is still in last Friday. That's how bad things are for Suzy in his time zone.
Not for long.
Not for long, yeah, thankfully. And Suzy, Isak and Ekatike getting on the score sheet. Chiesa with 2 assists. The attack functioned, but yet again, and we'll get onto this in a little bit. The defense kind of opened up more. Now, obviously, with the caveat, it's not our first team defense, of course, a makeshift kind of defense. But because I'm going to flip onto flip the whole question onto Brian after this because it was one of his soapboxes last season. But Mamardashvili, did he convince at all with what he had to do in the Carabao Cup game? In terms of the basics of goalkeeping, as far as I'm concerned, which is shot stopping and commanding your box, I thought he was okay, but he still gives me the heebie-jeebies when the ball's coming to his feet. And I'm kind of hoping we follow the Pep Guardiola change to go a little bit longer because I don't want Mamardashvili having the ball at his feet too much. But did he give you any cause for concern at all?
No. He did what was asked for him. Like I said, he did his day job, which was to his shot stopping was pretty good. I mean, the goal wasn't his fault. That was a mistake from Endo and, a confusion between Endo and Dan's. And unfortunately, Marmalade was a recipient of that. But he's our second choice keeper. And what more really could you ask for other than having Kelleher back? But I think the playing the feet has to come because that's the way we play. But it's and I think that's just again for more game time. I think if he had someone like obviously Virgil in front of him, he would have had more confidence to command that defense. Because Gomez, as long as he's been in the club, and I love Gomez, he just doesn't seem like a leader of that defense.
He's a follower more, really, isn't he?
And I don't know whether he just doesn't believe in himself to be a leader, even though he should. He's seen 3 different managers while he's been at our club, and and he's one of the stalwarts of the club. So he needs to believe that he can lead that defense, and he just feels like he shies away from that. So that's the biggest thing we missed in that defense. Obviously, we've got Robertson there, but still, you expect more from Gomez, who's a longer serving player in that club. I don't have any calls about Marmalade, and like I said, the longer we can stay in this tournament, and me, I've never been one for the League Cup. Not since we won the Milk Cup. I haven't really paid much interest in it, but with the players that we have, and knowing that we need this place to be up to speed at any time, because injuries can come anytime, and we've seen it. How many players have been injured, not just luckily we haven't had that many injuries this season, but look at the other clubs around us, and these players need to be up to speed, and we've got to use these competitions as our reserve games or as games for our fringe players. But I have no quarrels about Marmalade. I think he did okay.
Brian, your thoughts on the man you said would never play for Liverpool?
I heard it from Gally. I heard it from the boss. Now I get to hear from everybody right there. So basically, what I mean, yes, I didn't. I thought it was going to be an investment buy. So yes, he got his first team start right there. As far as his performance right there, shot stopping, I really didn't have any quarrels with that. I think he's a decent keeper if he has the right people in front of him right there. My issue was distribution. I still saw problems with distribution right there. I guess I'm used to having Allison for so long and seeing how he uses the ball. And so that would be my problem right there, because I saw a couple of times where the distribution was rushed and it created more, and it basically created pressure where we didn't need it to happen. So and then I think that Endo came through. Obviously Endo created some of the pressure right there with some of the back passing and some of the side passing he made right there with caused Southampton to come there and get runs. I mean, Southampton had a couple of decent chances to get into before they got their goal. And I think that was the problem right there. And it all goes back to having the time on ball right there for Mamardashvili, and also right there how he distributes the ball. And again, I'm going to disagree with the boss in there. I think that I don't think it's overrated right there with how he uses his feet. I think that's if you're going to come there and run, if this is Allison's is if Alice is not going to be here in a couple years, and Marmadashavelli is going to be our keeper, then I think that we need to go out there and change up how our defensive line is going to be right there, where we basically have somebody that's going to be a more support right there for him, and being able to go out there and help him distribute the ball. So, I mean, and that's ultimately where it is, because you're ending the sweeper keeper type of mentality right there, where you have with that Allison and distribution player like keepers like that have. So yeah, so I mean, again, I'm not going to give him a hard time right there. It's for like Tony said right there, it's his first time out there in this between the sticks, and so I mean, I think that it's going to be to see how he does against Crystal Palace in a couple weeks right there, and see where that's at, because I think this is definitely going to be his competition through the whole run. But yeah, I mean, he did okay.
So see, before we go back to the goalkeeping topic, in terms of how we approach Endo, we've been, I think, on this show big supporters of Endo for his work rate and his dedication and his professionalism, and he has some very, very good games, and you know he's not going to start the game, but you're happy that he's an able deputy, but he was a disabled deputy there in the Carabao Cup. Is there going to be a point, because he's 30 now or thereabouts, isn't he? He's not older, 31ish or something like that. Is there a point where both the club and Endo, do you think, will look at, maybe a degradation of his performances off the bench and go, if somebody comes in for you at the end of the season, so we won't stand in your way. We'll make it easy for you to move on so you can make a bit of cash. Because if he's going to start having bad performances, we almost kind of saw a little bit of it with James Milner by the end, like where he became more and more of a kind of a bit part player. For a player like Endo, who's not a legend like Milner, you probably want to get rid sooner rather than later, wouldn't you?
Yeah, I mean, he was never the fastest player, and the problem with Endo is that the less he plays regularly, the game is leaving him behind. So that 5, 10, 15 minutes that he comes on at the end, he is a destroyer, and it's I know it's cliche, but that's what he is. And
is it a closer or something? Is that what they say in baseball?
A closer, yeah, and he's fit for purpose for that role. It's not fit for purpose to start a game from minute one, where the type of football that we play and the type of football that Slot wants to play, it's not that dissimilar to Klopp, but it was a lot more measured last season. You wouldn't think it this season, but no, I mean, it's unfortunate. I don't think he should be a starter in the League Cup games either. His role really should be just to close out games and to protect our lead and to get them tactical fouls and the narky yellows that we all celebrate as much as we like to celebrate goals. And I think he probably knows that this probably will be his last season, but he's accepted that he's a big part player, and his big part for our team is just to close out the game and see it out. And I don't think there'll be any animosity from either parties if he leaves at the end of the season. And if rumors are true, Wharton might be one of the players that we might be getting next summer. So. Yeah, it's I have no problems with Endo in general. I mean, I love the guy. But like I say, he he's fit for purpose, or his mission is just to close out games. And if we're starting him in league games or even Champions League games, then we have an issue.
I agree totally. I mean, I think the one thing with Endo is Endo needs an anchor behind him, and I think that Virgil van Dijk right there is that anchor behind him that gives him that support to be that destroyer. When you have Gomez and Leone, and then our Gomez and any other center back that you want to go to, you lose that capability right there for him to have that sense of security behind him right there. So he then goes in and makes mistakes. Also, the same thing where you had Leone in front of him right there, where again you have an inexperienced midfielder in front of him. I mean, so you're basically going through having basically Curtis Jones right there running at one point, and then Endo. It just doesn't mesh out. I agree with you right there. I think that he's definitely a player who should be a closer, and it has to be a closer. And if you're up like 3-0 kind of thing right there, the situation. But the problem is we just don't have anybody else as a holding midfielder to relieve Gravenberch right now. And I mean, because I can't rely on Bajcetic right now because he's not. It's not fit. I mean, so again, right there. And if you go back the only other one we have is our kids, and we can't put kids in that position right there either.
Let me be controversial because I'm going to get even more controversial in the next bit. But let me be controversial here, Suzy, and then Brian, if he wants to talk about it. Should we just forget about Bajcetic at this point? Just in terms of expectation, right? He can't get fit. What is he? Is he 22 now? Thereabouts.
Yes,
I think so. Yeah.
I mean, he's hitting the time where he should be getting regular games of football if he wants to become a top level team, compete for top level trophies, and he's missing those years out. Is it time to maybe stop thinking? Stop thinking emotionally about Bajcetic and start thinking, he needs to play a much softer level, like maybe the Scottish Premier League, maybe the Portuguese League, somewhere where the physicality is not going to keep holding him back all the time.
Yeah, definitely. I think, and it's a lot of muscle injuries, and if you're having that many muscle injuries at the age that he's at, and I hate to say it, but it just seems like his career is going to be short. And obviously, I mean, we saw Rob Jones. He's probably the best right back I think that the club have had, and it's a shame that his injuries took its toll on him because I think
You mean after David Burrows?
After David Burrows and Gary Ablett, yeah, it's a shame, and and again, like what I said about players being left behind. We saw it with Lana, we saw it with all our other injury-prone players that we had, like Ox as well.
Sturridge.
And Sturridge, yeah, like our game just leaves them behind. It is, and now Bajcetic has got. Who's he got in front of him? He's got Szoboszlai. He's not knocking him off his perch. He's not knocking Macka off his perch. Not knocking Jones off his perch. We sold Elliott because Elliott couldn't break into that midfield, and then we've got Gravenberch, who in my opinion is probably the best midfielder in the world right now. So he's not breaking into that team anytime soon. And if he does come in, we'll play him in the cup games and see how he goes. But he's just had way too many injuries. And then last season he went to La Liga. It's not as fast paced as a Premier League, and he still got injured. So it's it's kind of make or break, and more than likely it's going to be a break because we're not doing him any favors by keeping him. He's not doing any favors to himself by staying with us, and it's a shame. He had so much potential, but unfortunately, it's just the way the football world is, and you just only 5% of players really make it, and staying healthy, the best availability is being available, and he just isn't.
Adam makes the point that David Burrows was left back. Of course, he was a left back. I knew that, but our right backs tend to be quite good, and our left backs. I don't want to mention Paul Konchesky because I don't like to remember that he played for
Liverpool. Steve Staunton is one of our best left backs.
But with Bajcetic right there, that was a catastrophic injury that he had. And then he turned back and came back and then re-injured it again. Then he's had nothing but nagging injuries at the point right there. And again, right there, what do you do with a player like this right there? Because again, he's not an asset anymore. I hate to go there and think of a player as assets and stuff like that, but in the really business sense right there, you have to think that way. You can't send him on loan right now because you don't know what you get and what team is going to take him on loan at a top level at the moment. Again, not knowing what they're going to get. You can't come there and you can put him with the U21s, but again, you're still how is that helping his career? Like you said right there, how is that helping him out right there? It's almost a point right there where you have to basically go and talk to him and say, hey man, you have 2 years left on your contract. We're just going to pay you out and go as a free. I mean, and that's probably going to be the best option that we could probably do for him. I mean, in the long run, as a footballer, is to let him go there and find where his spot in the whole in the professional realm is right there. Because honestly, I don't think it's in the top tier. I mean, right, not the way it is right now. Like you said, 22-year-old player right there. You're in the process of getting passed by players behind you right now. Piling was right there, and as a 21-year-old player right there is already above you right there. So then you go back down further into the academy right there, where you have players. You get McConnell, who's ahead of him. I mean, you've got a whole bunch of these players right there who already passed him by. Again, the best justice to do to a player right there is to let him go there and go and find where he needs to be at in the football world.
It's unfortunate, but the reality of the game is it's a cruel game, and some players with a lot of talent, they just never get past that initial stage. Like if you want to go way back in Liverpool, Alan Evans, very, very promising striker under Shankly, whose career basically ended because he got glassed in the face. So it wasn't even a football injury, but his confidence was shot. It's for all we take from the game, you also have to remember that it is very cruel, and that's probably one of the reasons why I personally am never upset with players earning the money they get. They have short careers that could literally end tomorrow.
Richie Partridge,
these players here, there is a certain level that you have to attain to be a Liverpool player or a Barcelona player or a Real Madrid player or a Juventus player or a PSG player. And as much as we get attached to these kids and these closers and super subs, we want the best for Liverpool, and sometimes that means moving players on. So let's circle back to Mamardashvili and goalkeeping, Alisson Becker, etc. Here's what I was thinking during the week, especially after the weekend game, which is basically what I was curious about was why we were conceding so many goals. And what I wanted to know, because I hadn't looked at it, was whether we were conceding an awful lot of shots on target, and it was becoming a numbers game, because obviously the more shots on target you concede, the more likely you are to be letting goals in. So I had I like an Excel spreadsheet as much as the next man, unless the next man is Cozzy. There's metrics that we can use that delve a lot deeper into these things. But we're going to keep this on a surface level, mostly because I had 10 minutes to get the graphics before I came on. Hopefully this is the right one. This is the defensive stats, okay? Shots on target against. If you look across there, we have the least amount of shots on target against in the league. We've only conceded 9 shots on target. So we're doing very well in terms of the defensive unit. We are restricting teams to not very many shots on target, which means the goalkeeper doesn't have to deal with the ball as often as other goalkeepers do. I'm not even going to show, I didn't clip it, but I'm not even going to show what Burnley's shots on target against is. But let's just say England's brave Scotty Parker might want to have to put the gloves on himself and find out what his goalkeeper's having to deal with. But here's the thing for me. If we look at the save percentages, Alisson Becker has only saved 44% of the shots on target against him. It's a simple metric. There's more in-depth we can go into that. But essentially, if we concede the next shot on target and he concedes it to make it 10 shots on target conceded, essentially, Alisson Becker has a relegation goalkeeper's save percentage. Give him 10 shots, he's not even saving half of them. Is it possible? And we can go into all the aspects of this, whether he, because we know he was really close with Diogo Jota, we know he's kind of had personal issues, I believe, their family issues, etc. Is it possible?
He had a baby.
Well, there you go, and that would put if you were having a baby and you were a full bearded man, that would put something on your physical preparation. So fair play to Alisson Becker for being the greatest goalkeeper in the world, and also being able to give birth. No, only kidding. But, I mean, that is disruptive. Anybody who's had a baby will tell you. I haven't, because I am a big baby, but it does disrupt your schedule. Is it possible that we need to take Alisson Becker out of the firing line temporarily so that we can stop conceding these goals, because there's going to be a game where we can't score them. What do you say?
No, absolutely not. I think with stats you can prove anything. Then it just comes down to optics, and I think some of the goals that he's conceded, he hasn't made a fumble, he hasn't made a mistake. The shots have just been good. Like you look at Bournemouth, the both goals came from mistakes from us, and
isn't that not why Alisson Becker is the best goalkeeper in the world? Because he covers those mistakes, and now he's not doing it.
But if the shots are great shots, what can you do? I mean, you look against Everton. That was a great shot. It's not like we got Onana or the Chelsea keeper in our team. You look at the saves that Alisson pulled off against Arsenal, like the shots that he did have to pull off, and I think there was a couple against Newcastle. I just, like I said, I think stats can prove anything, and I think them shots on target, again, you don't know the velocity of them shots coming in or whatever, none of that comes into it. And I just think that he's more let down by the midfield. I mean, we like that Everton game,
right? But before you go on that train of thought, the stats show that he's not being let down by his midfield. That's the point. We're not conceding any shots on target. We're conceding the least amount of shots, which means the midfield must be doing its job. So his job is the last line of defense. So I'm seeing a lot of things in the comments about people not liking stats, but what gets measured gets managed. And it's a bit of a cop out to say you can make stats mean anything. Like, something that's 50,
but there comes a point, like, where you look at the optics, and if you're watching the games, and I know what you're saying. If you don't watch the games, and like if it was like back in the day where we just watch the games of Match of the Day, and they think, okay, yeah, hold on a minute, something's wrong here. But they weren't goals that were conceded because he made a mistake. They were just good shots, and I think 9 out of 10 keepers probably wouldn't save him either.
But this is the point I'm making. He's the 1 out of 10. He's the greatest goalkeeper in the world. That's why he's the greatest goalkeeper, isn't it?
But he's not.
Here's why I like this argument. I like this argument because if we flipped it on the other end of the field and the striker missed 2 shots and scored 1, we'd say great striker. But he didn't do his job twice out of 3 times. And the course of the goalkeeper, obviously, is he only has to make that 1 mistake, really, or not, or let that 1 goal in. But my point is that if he has one of the worst save percentages in the league, is it not possible that there's something going on that maybe he needs a bit of a break? Hence, me talking about Mamardashvili, which he's not a comparable goalkeeper to Alisson Becker, but mentally he may be more on form. That's the point. The stats are just the vehicle to get the idea that if the midfielder and midfield and defense are restricting shots on target, which are the only the shots that can be scored. For anybody who wants to argue that, I'll sit here and argue for the next 5 hours. You can't, outside deflections, you can't score a goal unless the ball's on target. That's what his job is. So if he's having one of the worst shot save percentages, is there not something going on there that we need to maybe look at?
I don't think so. I mean, both me and you been Liverpool fans since the 80s, at least. Like, we know when a keeper's bad. I mean, know when keepers are having poor performances.
It's not that he's a bad keeper. I don't think any of
the games that we've seen so far this season, I've not once thought that's Alisson's fault. I think the COVID season, he had a mare that season when we conceded 5 against City, and he went through a period where he was really bad. I haven't seen that this season, or even last season when obviously he did play, and he missed a lot of games for injury. But I don't remember there being 1 game this season where I thought, "Oh, Alisson cops up there."
But that's not what I'm saying.
I know what you're saying.
The point I'm making is not that he's cocked up. The point I'm making is he's not the best goalkeeper in the world if he can't save that 1 out of 10 goal. That's what makes it the best goalkeeper, correct? Am I wrong there?
Yeah,
otherwise he's an average goalkeeper with 50-50 rate.
no,
Do you know what I mean?
you're right, but I still.
I mean,
Yeah,
I mean, I think
Brian's ready there with the mammer dash for the out.
Because I wasn't ready for this.
and I'll give you so I give you the stats. I mean, and definitely right there. I mean, if you're going to go there and depend on the keeper, you want him to go in there and make that one out those saves right there. 43% right there is not a great average. I 100% agree with that. The problem also right there is when are these goals happening? That one of these opportunities happening. And most of the goals that we've come in and scored against, that have been scored against us, have been after we've already been 2 goals up, or we've been complacent with and we get complacency. And I've seen the whole thing right there where we had against Bournemouth right there, we got complacent right there, and we got scored on, and we just lucked out to go into there. I've watched a certain defender right there that's basically lost his head and basically came through and ran around and basically came through and got scored. I've seen these things happen in these matches. Now, is nobody's perfect? And I'm going to give you, I understand that the whole thing right there. And I can say right there, we can be nitpicking right there because we're 7 games on a trot right now right there with winning. But and I see your point about your stats right there. I don't, however, feel that putting him into that position, saying, "Hey, guess what? You need to sit out." That creates a good environment for him to there. The problem is right there. It goes back to what's going on in these momentary lapse of just like not paying attention to what's happening, back passing, of going over there and putting the ball over and just teeing the ball up basically for opposition to go at. And then you're not giving Allison the due justice that he deserves right there. I mean, again, I complained earlier this season about the left-hand side right there with Kirkes right there, which basically left a lot of problems on that side. I've said right there one time right there when we were kind of making a makeshift for Gravenberch right there, that we had problems there. So there's like little problems that happen through there. Substitutions. Some of the substitutions haven't been worked right. And I'm not going to go on and on about Slot and how he does things, because he does some weird shit like that, like Kazi says right there on Discord all the time with some of the substitutions. You're like, why is this? Why are we doing this and all that? But he's the gaffer, so it's his right to do that right there. But the problem is on here is you can't come there and just go and just say that that this is all on Allison right there, and I don't think it's all on Allison. I think there's other
that's
parts.
Not what I said. This is the problem.
Yeah, I know.
Listen to the arguments that are being made. All I said was that he has one of the worst save percentages.
I agree, and great, but it's like, but and I'm not going to say that stats lie, because stats tell the truth in a lot of instances right there. But you have to actually go with what are the mitigating circumstances that cause that stat to be to go into that realm right there. So you have all those other things that are happening with that to cause that same problem. Because I can probably go back there and look on those keepers right there who have a better shot record. And probably some of those guys are sitting in mid-table right now, or probably in the lower half of the table. I mean, again, right there.
That's not how you do it. Like, I mean, it just shocks me like that we never look at the goalkeeper as an individual, because you're blaming the goalkeeper almost then for the position of the team. But all I'm dealing with is the actual one thing the goalkeepers are. People don't seem to understand why the goalkeeper has gloves. Because they're the only one that's allowed to handle the ball. Yeah. So they can use a lot more body parts to do their job than the outfield players can. So when you see a player that's top level, essentially the best goalkeeper in the world, let's be honest here, underperforming, there's nobody not think that there should be a question asked on the goalkeeper. Because we're kind of overprotecting them a little bit.
I mean, I'll say right there, I think that Donnarumma's right there is a fantastic keeper, but I watched him go there and lay goose egg this past weekend. I mean, you see these things happen. I mean, right there. I mean, it's just like, I mean, it's hard to come out there and say.
I see the point you're trying to make.
Just because it's a debate. Some people don't seem to understand that. We need to have a chat. Otherwise, it's just the three of us looking at each other, which is great, to be fair, for the ladies. But there is a problem, isn't there? I mean, surely we can all admit that losing 2-goal leads is a massive problem. and we have to look at all the facets of why that is happening. And we haven't once looked at the goalkeeper. Everybody's playing the midfield, everybody's playing the defense, everybody's playing slot substitutions, and that one person is away. The goalkeeper's not right now the best goalkeeper in the world.
If he played like Onana, if he played like Chelsea's keeper, you'd have a point. Like, you know, under Rodgers, we knew where we went wrong. You know, we had probably the best, you know, we had Sturridge, Suarez, Sterling up front, Gerrard behind them, but we had Mignolet in goal. And you knew that was a problem. Alisson is not a problem. Despite what the numbers say, Alisson is not a problem. I think our problem lies in midfield in the sense that it's let us down where the protections let us down when we most needed it. I think you look at the form of Macka, it's not been there. Konate had a bad first 2 games. And I know that doesn't cover the facts of the amount of shots that we're conceding, which is not that many. I just put it down to the quality of the shot. And, you know, we do have the best forwards in the Premier League. I think the best forwards in the world are in the Premier League, other than, you know, maybe Mbappe and the PSG players. But other than that, you have to look at the quality of the strikes, and you can't expect Alisson to save every single one of them. I think he's just. Like I said, I don't think there's one goal that he's conceded. I thought he could have done better.
Roy, what say you?
I mean, I disagree on some part of that right there, because I've seen a couple shots where I thought Alisson could have done better. And I'm not going to lie about that. I thought that he could have probably covered his goal a little bit better. And I agree. And again, I see every side on this whole thing right there. But again, you're also dealing with the keeper right there who's 31. I mean, right now. So you're dealing with an aging keeper too at the same point right there. And again, this is probably a keeper that won't be here with us next year anyway. I mean,
That's as controversial as my topic.
It is. Well, I mean, that's
have that, Dara. There you go. Have that one, Dara.
Because I mean, again, right there, you don't go there and pay this type of money for a keeper right there to not go there and actually have him eventually be the next in line. Which goes back to what I said earlier right there. We're going to remodel our defense right there to support a shot-stopping keeper right there that we have right there. So again, it's basically part of Slot's revolution with this side. This isn't Klopp's side anymore. I mean, so you have to it's going towards Slot's direction. So in there, do I think that I think there are some things that I think Alisson's fantastic. You know, I think he's probably one of the best keepers that we've ever had, that we've had in our club right there. I mean, on there.
Record, I have not said anything different, just not for you, but for the people out there in internet land, I have not said anything differently. But
it's getting clipped.
If you want to improve things, you have to look for where the problems may lie.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, you have to look at the cracks. I mean, through there, and I mean, again, right there, and again, I think also it's a lot of communication issues right there. Again, that's part of one of the biggest keys right there to a club right there is the ability to communicate on there. I mean, so. Is there a communication breakdown maybe possible between Verge and Alisson? I mean, could the whole thing go with from the tragedy this past summer go into play? There's lots of things that can go in play. Again, we don't know what's in these guys' heads. I mean, when you go there and have somebody that you sit with every day for 9 months right there, and then you go there and you basically your whole routine is with them. You go out to dinner with this person, you know their family, you know all that. To have a person go there and go right there, that's tragic. I mean, again, to be in a position that we're in at the moment right now with these guys, probably emotional state behind them right there, is probably they're supermen basically right there. Because I'll tell you what, I probably couldn't string fucking one pass together right there after going there losing my best mate, the guy I came there, that I did everything with. And I think that's one of the most admirable things right there you have to. But again, football's business. So you have to go there and look at the business aspect of what it is right there. So again, is his shot percentage right there different from what it was last year? Yes. I mean, so you have to go there. Okay, then you have to go with, and again, we have these statisticians right there that are employed by clubs everywhere around the world, including Liverpool. They're going to figure that out right there. Okay, what is the exact problem with why is this happening? And then figure out from that point right there. We're lucky right now these guys are playing the way they're playing.
And another thing, sorry.
Out, though, that the particular stats that I was looking at are the ones that our particular club are very fond of. And go ahead, Susie.
But what statistics don't show is the impact that Alisson has on that defense, and the confidence he puts inside defense, knowing that we've got the world's best keeper behind him, and that's what show that. And you can put, we had Kelleher, who and only obviously me and you, Macka, we were on that Kelleher bandwagon. We see how he's performing at Brentford. And it's like Glenn was saying, he's not commanding. He's not a commanding goalkeeper. He's timid. And with Alisson, Marmalade is nowhere near that level of being able to command that defense. Konate makes a mistake. He's probably thinking, it's fine. I can make a mistake because Alisson's behind me. And that's something that, money can't buy. That's experience. And going back to Brian's point, and what you alluded to originally, Macka, in regards to obviously losing Jota, the goalkeeper's probably the loneliest position on that pitch, and you've got so much time in your own head, and who knows what it's going through. You're at Anfield, and the 20th minute, you still haven't had a shot to make, and then the fans are singing the Jota song, and now you're like even more in your own head because you've got nothing else to do other than wait for a shot to come and hoping that shot doesn't come, because you really, as a goalkeeper, you really don't want to be working. You want to make sure the defense are doing your work for you, or you don't have to make a save. That could be going through his head, but I just like I say, I don't think the goals that we're conceding or letting teams back into games, I don't think any of that's Alisson's fault.
Never said it was.
I'm not saying that you were.
Just for the benefit of the tape and the people in internet land. Now, for the next topic, is Virgil the problem? No, I'm only kidding, Justin. I'm only kidding. Let's move on to the next topic. This afternoon on BBC, there was an announcement that Liverpool have had proceedings against, 145,000 ticket touts. That's an amazing amount of number. But at the same time, fair play to the club for trying to root that problem out. But here's my question to you both. And Cozzy would have been great if he'd have showed up tonight, because he would have more insight into this on a local level. But getting a ticket for Liverpool can be at Anfield can be a bit of a crapshoot. Number one, it can be a bit of a crapshoot that you don't get spotted with the wrong ticket in the wrong seat and then turf back out again. And also, they're highly expensive, and it drives the expense of the tickets up. And also, there's the issue of the season tickets as well. They're being kind of held for years and years and years and years and years. Is this a step in the right direction, Brian, for Liverpool to get rid of the ticket touts? Number one, and number two, this is for Susie as well. Do they need to get a little bit better with the redistribution of tickets that are not being used each week?
Isn't this just a whole sport problem all across the board right there, not just Liverpool? Is this NFL problem, an NBA problem? It's a world sport problem right there. So, yeah, again, I'm not even go with that. I'll go with concert tickets. The tickets, period, right there are a problem right now because, again, between people going there and actually go and buying tickets right there, doing things and putting things out, and then flipping the tickets over and then making more money off it. Of course, yes, it's an absolute problem right there. But again, are we going the right direction with this? I'm not really sure right there because again, if you're having basically the ability to pass a season ticket on to this person, to this person, to this person. I understand family lines like that going where, okay, this is my grandfather's seat and this there. Is that a way to come with there? I understand traditions and things like that and keeping the club, the fan base right there as local as possible right there. But is that a way going forward right there as far as a business model in a way? Yeah, you get what I'm saying right there? With it. It kind of limits the amount of people that you would actually put into there. So again, it's good that they're rooting this stuff out right there. But again, corruption's always going to happen. I mean, again, right there, I'm very pessimistic about this shit right there because again, I see it happening all the time. I can go there and go on Ticketmaster, and I'm just going to go put an example. Go to a concert, go to Ticketmaster, and go in a queue, and within 5 seconds, right there, all the tickets they're all gone. Why is this happening? Again, why is this happening right there? Again, it's a big corruption base and the actual ticketing agencies are in on it, and I think that that people in on it right there, Ticketmaster, all these clubs are in on it. They make money off this shit. So exactly, until you figure out right there of one price of capping off prices right there to say, hey, this is what everybody's going to charge, and then actually do a do a fair distribution, you're going to keep on seeing problems like this.
Just for Adam, the ticket touts on target statistic says that it's Allison's fault as well. I can just report that I'm only kidding, Adam. I'm only kidding. That was a good joke, though. I like that line. Thank you very much. So, here's a story, Susie, that kind of, it wasn't touting, but it was, kind of a model where you're going through like Ticketmaster, you're going through stuff. It's a big operation to get that many people into a football club, and FSG are nothing if not a club that looks for efficiencies where other people aren't spotting them. I got to go and see Ringo Starr last year, I think it was, here in America, and it was like a lifelong ambition attained to see a Beatle live in concert. Put me to shame with his 84-year-old body doing jumping jacks at the end of a 2-hour gig. Gave me a hernia just looking at him. But nevertheless, my wife had bought the tickets on StubHub, I believe it was, and we kind of got there. We tried to find a place to get dinner at. Everybody was booked up. Went in, not late by any means, but StubHub had double booked our ticket, and whoever had my seat got there first. So I didn't have a ticket to see Ringo Starr. We had to wait till everybody had gone in, and then buy 2 new tickets and get a refund on the old ones. It worked out great because we got way closer to the stage than we would have with the original tickets. But nevertheless, the idea of touts, I mean, that's kind of a risk, isn't it? You take when you buy a ticket off a tout, is that you could spend an awful lot of money. Let's say you're traveling from Ireland, let's say you're traveling from Norway, to see the club you've supported all your life, and you want to go to the hallowed ground and see them at the home. In a home game, and you get there and you've spent hundreds and hundreds of euros or whatever you pay your currency is to get there, hotel, transport, food, and you get there and there's no ticket for you because what you thought you were buying as a valid ticket is not valid, in fact. I mean, that is a problem, and it's something that needs to be gotten rid of from the game, isn't it?
In an ideal world, yeah, but I don't think it'll ever be kicked out. And I know, obviously, living back in England when I was living in London, and I've bought tickets from touts, because I was that desperate to see Liverpool play, and I've spent like $200-300 to watch them at Anfield, and that's just me as someone who lives in the same country. So now you're looking at as a global reach that the club has. It's not just Liverpool, it's Chelsea and Man United and whatever. But
not City, though, because they can't fill their stadium.
City, yeah, they're paying people to watch them.
Yes, Adam, it's totally Allison's fault. Totally.
But, you look at these fans that, going from America, going from Asia, and they're buying these tickets from touts because for them, Anfield, they see Anfield now, they see local fans, and they want to be amongst it, and they are the ones that are taking selfies at the stadium, and they are the ones that are recording while the game's on. But for them, it's a big thing. It's a once in a lifetime experience, and they're willing to pay that money. And sometimes in football we have that snobbery, and it's like, well, no, don't buy tickets from touts and everything else. We've got to keep the game as it is. But I think unless you're someone who supports a club from afar, you won't understand we still have the same emotions. I still have the same emotions watching Liverpool on NBC and USA TV, compared to the ones on the Kop. I'm no less of a fan than them. It's just that they just happen to be Liverpool, you can't get season tickets, and so if I could buy it, if I knew we're going to win a Champions League final and I had the money, I'd spend £5,000 on a ticket. If I knew it was a valid ticket and I was getting in, I'll do it, because you want, that's how much we love the club and whatever. So as long as there's people like me, and as long as there's people like around the world that want to watch the club, want to watch this, there's always going to be touts. And and surprisingly or not surprisingly, Chelsea are in the middle of all this, because Todd Bowley's been selling tickets on Vivid, and he's marking the tickets up, and obviously, again, just corrupt as shit. And Todd Bowley's probably making Abramovich look like a saint right now. It's as big as football's getting globally, and people are seeing how much money there is to be made. Then people are just gonna, touts are still gonna make the money. I don't see how you're gonna get rid of them. It's just like drug dealers. If people are hooked on drugs, they're gonna find a dealer, and the demand is there, and the supply is going to be there, and people are just going to make money. It's just one of them unfortunate things. It's great FSG are trying to put a stop to it, but I don't see how you can. It's it's kind of, the game is just a victim of its own success, because it's got so big, and because the Premier League is so big, because these are superstars out there, and the global reach is so big. You're not going to get rid of these touts, and these people are going to pay 10-15%, even 100 200% markup on these ticket prices, just because for them it's a once in a lifetime experience.
Brian, do you think kind of as a solution, because obviously more people want to go and see Liverpool at any given home game than they have capacity for a start, and also that they have available tickets for, and obviously the club wants number one, a fair way of getting tickets to the people who want to see Liverpool, and a more equitable way, we would hope. But the thing, what was that thing you went to, Susie? With the big
dome,
the dome thing. What was that? When you went to see a Liverpool game, the whole thing was just one big.
Oh, yeah. The Cosm.
What's it called?
It's called the Cosm.
The Cosm.
Yeah, COSM.
Oh, COSM.
So yeah. So yeah, it's like a big dummy. It's like being there, but obviously without the smells and everything.
Yeah.
Else, but yeah,
and the piss. But here's my thinking, Brian. Is it something do you think the club might be smart to look into as an overflow almost? No, you can't go and be in Anfield, but here's the next best thing for a lot cheaper than a ticket. You'll be with your own fans. You'll be able to see the game as if you're sitting in the stands watching it. I don't know. Obviously, Susie has a more up close and personal experience with it, but do you think that may be something that the club could do to satisfy the demand?
I don't think it's really the club's part to do that. I think it's where I'm going to wind up being the league's part right there to do it, to globally push the game. So I mean, I can see spheres and these domes, stuff like that happening. There's one that's opened up near Virginia Beach and stuff like that, and all that. So again, right there, I think that these things are going to happen right there because again, the demand is there right there to see live action football, even though it's really not really live action football. I mean, it's like. But it's still, you kind of have that somewhat feeling for a fan right there to go through. Because I think, okay, I'll even go right there. Okay, so the preseason tours. I mean, again, this is another sticking thing to happen to me right there over like 2 years ago. The price of preseason ticket tours of these matches was absolutely over the top ridiculous. There were people paying $200 right there to go and see the Rezzies play, basically. Awful. The first time I came through and started going and seeing these preseason matches, it was like $50, $60, something like that. And that's reasonable. I'll give you that right there. I mean, that's a good amount of money right there. $200 to come there and to basically go there and watch the U21s play. I mean, that's pretty much what you're doing right there. And you're seeing a disjointed side right there. And, and you, just like me, came there, went to Baltimore during the hottest match in the world of seeing Spurs play preseason right there. I mean, where basically everybody about died in the stands right there because it's 110 degrees outside. I mean, again, I think it goes back to in a way, what Spirit Shankly does same right there and on the actual in a Mercy side right there was you're pricing the fans out of matches. And I think that, it's kind of in the same realm of that right there with it. So again, like Adam said right there, the photo checks right there, the holographic tickets right there, which are going to probably happen soon. Those things are all going to happen eventually right there with it. But again, it's a money-making thing right there, and the clubs are making money, and these guys, and even though they say they're weeding these people out right there, they're still making money off of this right there. I mean, it goes right there. I mean, it's still a thing. I mean, so until you can go there and make it so it's not a price gouging event right there, it's going to keep on happening right there. I mean, and that doesn't go to sports. That goes to entertainment. That goes to anything requires a ticket right there. Right there, it's price gouging. They do it. I mean, they make money off of it, and they go after us because we're willing to pay that money. Until somebody goes to and says, "Guess what? No, I'm not paying $200 to go sit at East Rutherford, New Jersey, to watch the U21s play." Until somebody says, "I'm not doing that," it's going to keep on going.
Here's the other thing is when you've got the tourists, as you were, or supporters that don't regularly go to games, on match day, they probably spend the most money in and around the city.
Mm-hmm.
Because your locals aren't going to be going to the club shop buying the same things. Like, they already got the stuff, they already got the scarf, they already got the kits. Where these tourists or these fans that don't go regularly, they're the ones who are spending money in the club shop. They're the ones who are spending money on the hotels around the city, buying food, staying there for a week, whatever. So even then, just because I am a conspiracy theorist, I don't even think the clubs really want to stop it too much because they want these tourist fans to come in because they spend so much money in the city. And you look at Liverpool football clubs, you look at Liverpool, the city itself, Liverpool FC are one of the biggest tourist attractions in the city. And I think it's like they're bringing $4 billion a year to the city just for tourists. And and that's not your locals spending that money. Those are your tourists that are buying these tickets with touts, and they're spending extra money again on local businesses.
I think the price gouging will always be around in football. I think there's never going to be an escape from it. It's going to be there till the end of time. Just like Adam Bourne will always be the sassiest of sassies on the comments, and more power to him. We want more of it. And just like Dara will think he's the Christopher Hitchens of football, looking for his debates. So let's move on. Here is what's going to happen this weekend. We have Crystal Palace and Liverpool. It's an away game, so we don't have to worry about the tout so much. So Z and Brian, how do you see it? We'll start with Brian.
Tough. It's gonna be tough. I rate Crystal Palace. I mean, I think that they're, excuse me, I think they're a decent side, and I think that it's gonna be tough with us going to Selhurst Park, where it makes it worse right there, because we've had some pretty rough times at Selhurst Park. I mean, I just go back to coming there to 2014 right there, when we lost. I mean, we basically bounced a lead that came there, made us ultimately lose the league title. I mean, so that's those kind of things right there are things that reflect on me. And Crystal Palace has never been an easy go at us right there. I mean, they've always been like our club right there that's always had our number in some ways, And I mean, yeah, we come there basically we have a winning record on them, but they actually challenge us right there, and they don't back down from us and all that. So
except for the days when we used to hammer them 6, 7, 8, and 9.
correct. And
9-0.
I mean, but it's been like the modern days. It's been like basically the past, like 5 seasons right there, 6 seasons right there. They've always been some issues with them. But I mean, again, Adam Wharton's class. I mean, you have class players on that side right there. We've already played him once. Then we turn around and play him again here in a couple of weeks right there in the League Cup. So it's like we're going to want to play them 4 times this season at least right now. I mean, so again, it's not they're not pushovers, and I think it's going to be a this type of match right here is going to show you what we're really made of.
So you've been around as long as I have watching Liverpool. I'm sure you remember a time in the 90s when QPR were the team that we just couldn't get around at all. Les Ferdinand up front for them. It was always a horrible, horrible game under Graham Souness.
Seaman and goal. Remember that Seaman and goal?
That's very true. Yeah, and his shots on target percent. Oh, only kidding. Is Crystal Palace? Are they going to be that team for us under Arne Slot? Do you think? As long as what's the manager's name again? Gassner. As long as Gassner's there, because he has them very well organized. They're very they know what they're supposed to do in each game and against each opponent. Do you think they're going to be our sticking point, our bogey team for a while?
I mean, they're undefeated in 17 games, all comps. There's a reason why. They're definitely no pushovers. They're also not a team that are going to threaten for the title anytime soon, or maybe break into the top 4. But they're just such a difficult team to break down. And obviously they've got a defender that we want, so that adds extra narrative to the game.
And the midfielder we apparently want as well.
And the midfield, hopefully, yeah. I have nightmares of Crystal Palace since we lost 4-3 to them back in the day in the FA Cup semi-final, and after that it's just been it's one game I don't look forward to, home or away. It's a difficult one. I mean, they don't have Eze, thankfully, but they're just such a hard team to break down. And I think Gahey and Wharton will be up for it, and obviously they've got quality all over that side. And I just want Saturday morning to be over and done with just knowing that we won the game. I don't know if my heart can take watching that game.
It's a Saturday game, isn't it?
A Saturday morning, yeah,
that's good. Brian, obviously Ekitike will be ironing his shirt at home. Is Isak ready to be the main man for this game for at least 60 minutes?
It's going to have to be. I mean, I don't think we have an option now. I mean, what other number 9 do we have right there that we can put in there? Again, I just want to emphasize something that Kazi came there and said right there, which with the Leone injury does to us right there, and not bringing in Gahey right there, it actually hampers us in the back. We have 3 first team center halves at the moment. 3. I mean, all it takes is one person to go down right there, and then you're basically with Gomez as your other player besides the other starting center half. So again, that's problems right there. I mean, those are things right there that we should have solved early in that window. We knew it was going to happen right there, and this had a possibility right there. I mean, I understand the point of investing in other parts of the pitch of the players and all that, but you lost a player, you lost a piece that you need to. And I'm sorry, Nalo's not ready to be a starting center half in this league, and so that's where I draw my little line right there. But yeah, I think Isak's going to have to play. I mean, he has to. I mean, and I think that you are basically in the position right there where Mo obviously is going to starts. I mean, there's nothing about that. But you also now you're depending on Gapco right there, who hasn't been in the best form right there to actually be on that left hand side, where you could actually brought Ekitike either there or you could have put him at a number 9. So you lost that whole position right there. I mean, you did gain you have Chiesa there as on the bench to go and bring him in there, but Chiesa doesn't operate very well as a number 9. Only thing you could probably do right there is to either put Chiesa right there in Mo's spot, put Mo in as a number 9, and shape it up that way, or go into a false nine. I mean, it's the only ways that you can probably go if you have to pull Isak off there. I don't think Isak's ready for 90 minutes. I still don't think he's had the preseason to do that.
Hampered in the back, Brian. Centre backs going down. Pull Isak off. Take a cold shower, my friend. Take a cold shower.
I mean, I think with your midfield, I think your midfield is already done right there. Verts, McAllister needs to work through his form. I think that there's a player there, so I think he needs to work there. And Gravenberch, and I think your back line right there is. I'm going to say Kirkes is going to start again on here. And I think that you're probably going to be Bradley starting on the other side right there, because I don't think that Frimpong came through. I think that he needs to kind of chill for probably come in on the 60th or something like that minute. And then, of course, Kanate and Verge, Allison in the back.
So no Szoboszlai for your lineup?
I would like to have Szoboszlai, but I mean...
Not even for McAllister, who's not having a great time right now.
It's
tricky, isn't it?
It's hard to say right there. I mean, right there.
What do his stats say? What do his stats say, Brian?
That's say right there. Basically, that Szoboszlai should be playing.
Darrow's not here.
But I can't really put. I mean, if we put Szoboszlai in right there, I lose McAllister, and I could have McAllister come in later on. I do think that Bradley needs to go there and start at right back. I think that he needs to be there, because you need to have a natural right back starting there. And I think that Szoboszlai did a good job of actually playing that role. But I just don't think that that's not his position.
Susie, what is your ideal lineup? What does it look like?
I think he's guaranteed Szoboszlai will play unless he picks up an injury between now and Saturday. I mean, obviously, I think the players that weren't on the bench on Tuesday, I think almost guaranteed they're going to play. So with Gakpo on the left, Salah up front, on the right. I think Isak obviously by default is probably going to have to start. You don't drop Szoboszlai; he's undroppable. I think he can even. I think he can even play in goal. He's got 100% shot records.
You should put him and Alisson in goal. Double Alisson stats.
I've been probably one of Szoboszlai's biggest critics, but that guy, he's just been phenomenal this season. You can't drop him, and he just doesn't seem to run out of energy. He can just go and go and go. McAllister, I think he still needs to have his minutes managed, and it wasn't a coincidence that when his form started dropping against Everton, that's when we looked a lot more vulnerable. Obviously, Gravenberch is another one you can't drop. So, personally, I think I would start with Szoboszlai, Gravenberch, and Jones in midfield. Verts, I think Verts starts. Maybe Verts starts instead of Jones. But, I would definitely start with Bradley, right back as well. I mean, we're spoiled for riches. I don't even understand why we're so dim and gloomy. Like we've got 100% record of it. Just feels like every game we're going into, we're the underdogs, and it's like we're waiting for everything to fall apart. But it's not. It's just we're in a good spot.
What is your score prediction, Susie?
3-2.
For all the stats I got about Alisson's stats, none of you are giving him a clean sheet possibility this week. Brian, what's your score prediction?
2-2, 2-3, something in that ballpark right there. I think that, again, right there, like you said right there, I mean, I think that it's hard for us to keep a clean sheet right there at the moment, but I just want the points. I mean, I think it's going to be a hard match to go through. And I just need to make sure Kanate and Verge are healthy out of this match. If not, right there, I think Serzi and I are going to go over the edge right there. I mean, it'll be rough right there because I don't know what we do. I really honestly don't know what we do if we lose another center half. I think I think it's basically the wheels come off.
Adam Hansen's getting a call.
Yeah,
we'll see Gravenberch drop back.
He has done that. He did do that last year, didn't he?
Yeah, but then you lose Gravenberch in the role that he's actually playing right now. I mean, so
that's what happens when you leave it till the last second to try and sign a centre half and try to get them.
Yep, and you can't put Endo there because he's too small. So it's like you have problems there.
I'm gonna book the trend. I'm gonna say a 4-0 win, and this is exactly the kind of game we bought Isak for. This kind
Nunes
of
hat-trick.
That's why Nunes hat-trick, Alisson hat-trick. I'm not of own goals. Adam says a tough 3-1. You know, I mean, we are worth a goal against in every game, it seems, but I'm going to give us the benefit of the doubt. 4-0 for me, and Isak and Wirtz the scores first as well. That's my prediction. And it won't be Alisson's fault. That's right, Adam. That's right. But we'll see what happens. We will be back tomorrow morning with the morning coffee show. As Hassan says, a tough 2-1 win. I think every game against Palace is tough. Despite my 4-0 prediction, I think it's going to be a tough 4-0. Like, we're going to have to earn the goals. But yeah, we'll have the morning coffee tomorrow. Keep an eye out for a pre-match, possibly a watch-along, a post-match on Saturday. And then once our game's out of the way, we can enjoy whatever else is thrown out in the Premier League fixture schedule. I want to say thanks to Sir Z and Brian and Justin in South Africa doing the night shift. Thank you for joining us. And Adam for all the sass and hilarity. We love to see it, and thank you very much for that. That's why we look forward to you every time you're here. And not because you've been paying us in Bitcoin beforehand. Only kidding. See, Darren, that's what you got to do if you want to debate.
Paying us in tickets.
Or donuts. We like a few donuts. So to make sure you know when all this good stuff has happened, make sure you're following us on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and X, formerly known as Twitter and Blue Sky, and all the other fun stuff. We will see everybody tomorrow for the actual morning coffee next American Scouser TV show. But we will see everybody next Thursday, where hopefully we'll have a lot of good, positive things to talk about and more stats on why Alisson puts his socks on the wrong way. Peace out, everybody. Have a good one.